Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm going to try a little craft with me tag along today, and we're going to have a go at making this pocket tag. I have done some preparation, mainly because, as I said before, I don't want you to have to see me getting up and down all the time and making very slow decisions. So I've cut my card and some book paper. I've torn a couple of Flower Fairies out of this book, a Flower Fairies Treasury. This is a fairly modern edition, and when I'm using Flower Fairies I always use the originals, not copies. They are still under copyright. The problem with that book is that the fairies are on both sides, so you kind of have to make a choice. This Slow Fairy is one of my all-time favourites, so I'm going to use her today. And although this one is very pretty, I like the red and the green. I also thought you might like to see my original fairies book, which is this one. And I did pay quite a lot for this and won't be cutting it up. The plates in here are all separate and they're very beautiful. And just so that you can see the difference, the Slow Fairy is in this book. I feel like I'm talking very slowly. When I'm watching videos, if I haven't got much time, I often speed them up. So people that talk slowly, when you speed them up, they still sound quite good, really. But obviously it goes by a lot quicker, which is quite useful. So I don't know whether this will pick up on my camera. But this is in the original book. Obviously this is the one I've just torn out, and the colours, this is very pretty, this is prettier. The colours are softer and a slightly more, I don't want to say muted, they're not more muted, they're a little warmer, and that would be my preference, but I'm not going to cut this book up. I love it too much. Anyway, so I've got a piece of card which is 3 1/4 by 6 1/2, and I'm going to, this is vintage book page from a French book, and I'm going to use glue stick to stick them together. So I hope you're all having a good day. I've not had a brilliant week for all sorts of reasons, but you know, it's okay. It's nearly over. It's Thursday today, and I am going out for a coffee with a friend soon, so I'm looking forward to that. I just want that slightly rough edge where I've torn the book page out to stay. So I'm just going to cut. When I made the original tag, it's double-sided. There's one on this side as well. Single-sided tags on the whole are more useful, so we're going to make this as a single-sided one, so it is a little bit different. I've told you before, I don't really like doing things exactly the same. So I'm going now to think about the pocket, and rather than use more book page, I'm going to use a little bit of scrapbook paper, and it will go nicely, I think, with this fairy. So and I'm just going to sort of eyeball this. So I want quite a deep pocket, so I'm going to cut it off about there, and I'm just getting my little mini tonic guillotine, chop it off there, and we want it 3 1/4 wide because we want it the same width as the tag. Okay, so that's going to go on there. Oh no, it's too narrow. Okay, so what we'll do is shave a little bit off the edge of this. That might be because I left that rough edge on. Sorry for my large arms. They're not really large in real life. They were very close to the camera just then. sliver off that, see if we're there. That will be fine. Okay. So we're going to stitch around here, and then we'll make the inside tag. So the first thing I want to do is decorate this pocket before I stitch it down. I'm going to use walnut stain ink here, and I'm just going to ink the top of my pocket because I want that to show up. And I'd quite like a zigzag across the top here. I've got my little sewing machine to the side of me. I'm not going to move it across because all you can see with my camera setup is obviously the top of the machine. So just bear with me a second. So that's, I'm using cream, so it's quite subtle, but that's a zigzag across there. And then we need this fairy image on here. I'll go back to the guillotine. And I don't want to take up the whole of the pocket, but that's probably about right. Might just cut a fraction more off the side and the top. Okay. Ink the edges of this. And I want this stitched onto this top pocket, so I'm going to zigzag round that. Oh, sorry, little fairy, covering up this little fairy, never mind. And I'm positioning it, because I want some lace or something down the side, I'm positioning it slightly to one side, so it's just off centre. What I'm going to do now is go away and do some of that stitching. So I'm going to zigzag around here. I'm going to cut out this fairy because she's going to be on the pocket, on the tag that goes in the pocket. And this is some of the lace that I've cut out. This is the new Tim Holtz crochet edges. Sorry, that's probably glaring. Trims, which is lovely. And I'm going to use that instead of the doily that I used here. So what I'll do is ink this edge. And I've just cut this from a bit of scrapbook paper that's come from a 6x6 pad. Do the top and the bottom later. So that's going to go on there, but I want to stitch it on. So I will work out, I like things quite even, so I'll probably position it like that. Let's do that while you're with me. So we're sort of evening that up, top and bottom. The glue's there just to hold it in place really, because the stitching will catch that. Okay, so that's going to slight mistake, but it's fine because I've only put a smidgen of glue. I can now stitch my zigzag round here, pop this back on and stitch this round in a straight stitch, and then I'll be back. Okay, so let's carry on with this tag. I've stitched that round and I've got my pocket. I've been in my scrap box to find some bits of lace originally, but then I found this sari silk. One thing I've realised is that these two pictures don't really go together that well, which in one sense doesn't matter because this will be hopefully hidden in the pocket, but I do want the ribbons and things to match on the front, so I think I can solve that by mixing this. This is all from the same bundle of sari silk, and we have got some slight purpley tinges in it, which I think will go with that. So in the meantime, I found this literally scrap of lace. It's all I had left. I've just cut the end off here, and I've stitched this bit of sari silk along the top with a bit of zigzag. I want to glue it on because I don't want the pocket to be, I could stitch across the whole thing, but I didn't want the pocket to be too short. If I stitched across here, I would shorten the pocket. So I'm going to cut that off. And that sari silk picks up the green and the sort of bluey green in there. So let's pop that on. I've got a new bottle of Fabri-Tac. So hopefully there won't be any waiting around, she says. There we go. So I'll stick that along the bottom. Just overlapped it slightly across the edges. Try and give you a clear view. I'm not very good at. Okay. So let that dry a bit and we'll make the little tag for inside. So I've cut my card, just a thin piece of card this time, 2 3/4 by 5 1/2. Just check that it fits, that's fine. And I used, this is the 6x6 paper that I cut this crochet edge off, and it does tone with this very, very beautifully. So I'm going to cover the whole tag. Rather than use book page, I think I used sewing paper in the original tag. We'll go with this scrapbook paper for this one. Just using glue stick again. I don't like that edge, so I'm going to go this side. That probably should have been a touch straighter. I think when you're doing these, I always admire Gail, who seems so relaxed when she's doing her videos. And they're never boring, which is always a big fear. Anyway, it is what it is. So we'll make this one into a tag shape. I think I've said before, I think this is Gail's idea, using the old credit card template. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to quickly ink the edges of this one. Already inked that, and while I've got the ink out, I'm going to go around. Probably should have done it before I added the lace, but go around the edge of this one. This looks better once you've inked it up. Okay, so I want to make sure that when I stitch this fairy on, she's going to be in the pocket and not showing her face. So probably about there. I'm going to do the stitching while you're all listening, just because I don't really want this to be too long and have to join too many bits together. So So she'll slot in there. So I'm going to straight stitch around here and around the edge of this tag. So bear with me, please. Right, so that's done. Hopefully you were sensible enough to fast forward through that bit. Snipping off the ends. So there's our little fairy attached. She pops in there quite nicely. So what I'm going to do now is put a grommet in here. Sort of eyeballing this. And I just bought some new eyelets, so let's use one of these. They've got these little rings with them as well. Can I get a little ring out? There we go. Not sure how well this is going to work because this card is really quite thin. So I think it will definitely split, yeah. But that's okay, it's gone over the ring and it's not particularly sharp. Okay, so now we're looking for some toning sari silk that I can tie in here. So ideally I'd like a bit with green and blue. I might go for this bit. That's probably manageable. Trim this off a little bit. So that dresses up the top of that and picks everything, sort of tones with these shades as well. It's just luck a lot of the time, I think. I don't know how it works really. And then we need to put a grommet in the top of this one, or I think in this case I'm going to actually do a tab rather than, because I don't want any more ribbon on this one. So what I'll probably do is use this paper again, although it'll be sideways, and use this tab. put that on the top of that, we've got, it matches this, it tones in with this, and it means that we're not overloaded with lace and ribbon. So let's stick this on. I think I might have had a bit of rust on one of my pins. And what I would quite often do is just stick those two together. This is actually quite thick, so you can find a bit of card. And what I'll do is, that's my card, just cut this off. See if I can make this work. It may not work. Just to make a little sandwich in the middle there. I think it'll look better. Oh, sorry, my head. I just feel like this video is going on far too long. And I want to get it done. There we go. And then we can glue this piece on. And then with a single-sided tag like this one, can be used in a journal. It could be pinned into a journal or just gifted. I would normally wait till this dries, but I would just go over the edges again. And there we are. Bits everywhere. I usually end up with a 6-inch square to work in. I'm doing quite well today. There's our variation on this one. Both really pretty, I think. So thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye bye.